Hey guys, how you doing today? Today's video, it's a beautiful day out. It's going to be a good video, I can tell, because today I actually got some sleep. I got some sleep last night. These days with so much going on and everybody's working and all this kind of stuff, it's the one thing that we all give up and we all lose is sleep, without a doubt. And here I am, well slept, cleaned up my house, did all my chores, got everything done, living my best life. At least I hope it's my best life. And what are we going to do in today's video? Well, we're going to do what everybody's doing right now. We're going to dogpile on Doug Ford. Dog Ford. I guess he is kind of a bitch. Doug Ford, eh? Like, what can be said that hasn't already been said about this guy? Like, we all know that he's like a loser drug dealer. We all know that he's just giving away money to his buddies on the pretense of like building projects and things like this. He doesn't care about building anything. He doesn't care about doing anything. He's just finding a way to give money to his friends, right? That's his whole MO. And like, when we're talking about this COVID catastrophe that he's not really governing over, right? Like, what is he doing? He's putting all of Ontario into the same lockdown that we've had here in Toronto and in the Peel region all along, right? Which is to say, not much of a change whatsoever, right? Like, you can still go into establishments, you can still go get your stuff, right? People still go on the TTC, they still walk around, they're still doing all their, they're still buying goods, right? People go on the TTC, go to work with a bunch of people who are also going on the TTC. They turn around, they go home, right? The new wrinkle in the story is that now Doug Ford is blaming it on the kids, right? And it's because the new variant is affecting younger people between the ages of 20 and 30, right? And so Doug Ford's like, you guys are just going out and partying. It's like, no, Doug, we're working. Right? While you're just sending your assistant off to go get Timmy's, right? We're working at Timmy's. We're not partying, right? We're not having hooplas and holler downs and throwdowns and all this ridiculous stuff. We're trying to get through this like everybody else, but you're the one that's putting us to work, right? And this is what I really want to be talking about today, about Doug Ford and about the Conservatives in general, about conservatism and the whole conservative movement generally. Is that they are completely beholden to this death cult ideology that they have grabbed a hold of, right? And the reason why, like, you start talking about what's happening, right? So Doug Ford puts us into lockdown, right? Which isn't a lockdown. It's the bare minimum of what a person can barely get away with. It's this massive compromise with capital, in order to make sure that the virus sticks around for as long as possible, and so that capitalists can maximize their profits, which they're doing. They're making more money now than they ever have, right? And it's not actually resolving anything. It's not actually solving the problem. And why is this the case? It's because conservatives completely lack vision, right? They've been saying for years and years now, they've been saying, no, the free market needs to decide, right? The free market needs to decide. Well, guess what? Saying the free market needs to decide is not any different than saying let chaos reign, right? Just let the chaotic forces of a market system just uproot everybody, lay off whoever they need to lay off, readjust itself however it needs to adjust itself, and move on. The thing is that the free market relies pretty strongly on cheap labor, right? Or slave labor if you prefer. And it's not that interested in providing goods and services in a way that improves the health of the citizens. That's not what it's there to do. It's not interested in that. And so these conservatives are in power at this very moment, and they lack the vision or the ability to actually think about how to structure anything amidst a massive crisis, right? If you're one of these people who bounces out of these videos around now, like, share, subscribe, do all the things, hit all the bells, hit all the whistles. Thanks for coming. I love you. Good luck. And so, what are some very minor things that Doug Ford could have done, right? What are some very minor things that Doug Ford could have done in order to alleviate pressure from the populace while simultaneously ensuring their health and safety, right? So how about do a proper lockdown, right? How about actually send everybody home? Don't have people get on the TTC, go to work, get back on the TTC, go home, right? That's ridiculous. Set up a delivery system, right? A government-run and government-funded delivery system. Have people, here's another good one, right? This would have been really easy to do. Have people call in advance, right? So that goods and services can just be like prepared for them. They show up, the goods and services are just handed to them, and they leave. There are some establishments that have done this, but like, I used to work in a toy store. That toy store is still open, right? Like if the toy store is open, everything's open, guys. Like there's no such thing, like there was a little period of time where there was like, no, we're gonna close all non-essential services. Everything's open. Everything's open. There's no such thing as non-essential services in capitalism. What's non-essential is your life, right? That's what's considered non-essential. No one's sitting here saying that your life is essential. No one's saying here that the time you have on this beautiful planet in order to spend exploring and discovering and learning and figuring something out about the world, that's not essential. The money you're making for some capitalist you'll never meet, that's essential. Giving a toy to some rich guy's kid, that's essential, right? Those are considered essential services. Being able to go get a burrito from the burrito place, that's essential, right? Like, we're not taking this seriously, and we're getting exhausted with it. And I can see it all over the media. People are getting exhausted with it. And there is going to be a breaking point, right? So one of the things that I think is really interesting is that I like to compare what's going on now with what happened with the Spanish influenza back in the 1920s, right? We have all this data, and the data aligns pretty closely, right? That we had a first wave, it went up, and then it went back down, then we had a second wave, right? Went down, and right around now, right as we were going into the third wave with the Spanish influenza, they just stopped keeping track of data, right? And I suspect it's for very similar reason to what we're experiencing now in this society, which is that people got exhausted with it. They got tired of it, right? They just took a look at it and they were like, nonsense to this, nuts to this, it's just over, right? And they started just going around the regular life. And that's what's gonna happen here, right? Because we know that the Ford government's not taking it seriously. We know the conservative government's not taking it seriously. Because if they were taking it seriously, right? If they were treating this like the national crisis it was, and this extends to the Trudeau Liberals as well, the military would be more heavily involved, right? The military would be the one that's involved in just distributing goods into the society. The military would be the one that would be involved. There would be rationing, right? There would be a more serious effort being put forward to make sure that everything is going well and everything's being great. But that's just not happening, right? People are being told, go home, right? If you can afford to, if you have EI, right, and you've been laid off, sure. But like, if you're homeless, if you were homeless at the beginning of this, you're still homeless, right? You're still turning around, still going into those homeless shelters. And of course, the people who are working in those homeless shelters or living in those homeless shelters, let's not forget, turn around and go to work where? At the long-term care homes, right? Which is how these long-term care homes got infected in the first place. And Doug Ford doesn't care about any of that. What Doug Ford is focusing on, right, is Highway 413, right? He wants to erect a highway that nobody wants, carve through a whole bunch of wetlands, carve through a whole bunch of green area, carve through a whole bunch of environmentally protected area, whole bunch of conservation area. He wants to carve that apart, put a highway through there that even the residents are going like, we don't need a highway through here, right? Under the excuse and the pretense that, oh, well, this is a growing area, it'll grow and all this kind of stuff. So suddenly when it comes to carving a highway through a place where nobody wants it, nobody needs it, the conservatives are these great visionaries about population and growth and all of this kind of stuff. The reality is it's just a project to funnel as much resources to his buddies as possible. This is what the Ford administration and the conservatives are focusing on in the middle of this crisis, right? Blaming kids for spreading around a disease while putting them to work, right? While simultaneously taking the $20 billion it would cost to do this project, giving it to his buddies. They don't care what the project is. It's just an excuse. If they could convince the populace to let them build a stone obelisk into the sky, right? If they could convince the populace to just give us the money and we'll not do anything with it, right? That's exactly what they would do. That's exactly what they would do, and they would be happy to do it. And this is where the resources are going, right? Instead of taking resources, instead of taking that $20 billion and saying, hey, we need to restructure the economy. We need to take a look. This capitalist system is not serving the populace in this particular moment, right? It's not helping people to let the market decide and let free market capitalism, let chaos reign, right? It's not helping them. And so let's take the $20 billion that we're giving to our buddies so that we can build a highway nobody wants, right? And actually put it into projects in order to distribute goods into the populace, right? We've done this in the past. This isn't anything new, right? You literally just hire people to be delivery people. And you could literally structure the entire thing so that every part of it remains separate from every other part, right? You have a person living in their home, right? They go out to their delivery truck, which you give them, right? That delivery truck goes to a place where it's loaded up. The delivery driver doesn't touch base with any of those people, right? Right? The people who make it to the facility, you arrange transportation for them, right? And of course it's going to be costly. Of course it's going to be costly, right? You're trying to feed and clothe and shelter people in the middle of a pandemic while ensuring that pandemic doesn't spread, right? And that's the key point. We're not ensuring that this pandemic doesn't spread. And it's very obvious, right? It's very obvious. We're continuously doing just like the absolute bare itsy bitsy minor, little tiny thing so that Doug Ford can take the money he should be spending actually helping people and actually sequestering people and actually making sure that there's a system in place so that we can get the goods that we need, the food, the clothing, right? These sorts of things, so that we can get them while simultaneously distancing and not spreading this virus around. He'd rather take that money and give it to his buddies to build a highway that nobody wants, right? This is what the Doug Ford administration always wanted to do. Because at the end of the day, Doug Ford and conservatives generally are not interested in governing. For them, this is a money-making opportunity. This is a business opportunity. When Doug Ford says, the province is open for business, he's the salesman, right? He knows that he's the one who's there to make the money. He knows that he's the one that's there to make the bucks. He's not making decisions to benefit anybody but himself. And this extends even to the long-term care home. I've said it over and over and over again on this channel, right? So Doug Ford hands out land deeds to people so that they can build long-term care homes. They're building new long-term care homes, right, amidst this enormous privatization scandal. They're building long-term care homes. What do you think they're going to do? Well, they're going to sell those long-term care homes to their private buddies. Doug Ford's going to get some shares, and so that when your grandma and grandpa, or when you get old, right, and you're in one of these shitholes where they're not feeding people properly, they're bug-infested, and they're dirty and ridiculous, well, guess who's making money off that? Good old Dougie Ford, right? That's what Mike Harris did. It's what Doug Ford's going to do. Okay, guys, this pileup has been fun, but this is the end of this video. I hope you guys are doing great out there. I lose sleep over this kind of stuff, man. I lose big sleep over this kind of stuff. I hope you're not. I hope that you're able to get to sleep. I hope you're able to have a good time. Drink some tea, right? Drink some peppermint tea. Drink some chamomile tea. That's been helping me out. You're doing wonderfully in the world. You truly are, right? You are a shining beacon. You are intelligent. You know things that nobody else knows. You're digging into things that nobody else knows anything about. You're focusing on things that nobody else knows about. And your life is special, and your life is important. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And don't let these guys gaslight you. They spend billions of dollars to gaslight you and make you think that you are less than what you are, which is a unique and special person. Good luck. We're going to need it.